Hi, folks, and welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Strategy. My name is Peter Kropp. I run the marketing leadership practice at Shore Communications. And we are here again with my friend, Ted Rubin. He is the Chief Social Marketing Officer at a place called Collective Bias. And today we are getting together again. We were just together about 3 weeks ago, and we talked at that time about getting deeper into some case studies of the work that Collective Bias has done in the area of social shopper media. And so we're going to talk about a couple of case studies and really talk about how social shopper media has been able to influence results very specifically for some important consumer brands. So Ted, let's talk about Glidden and what you guys did for Glidden Paint.
Sure, I'd love to do that. You know, I know that a lot of the conversations we've had have been about how Collective Bias is a social shopper agency and how what we're really involved in is the path to purchase. We're all about shopping. But what's more important is we're about driving results at retail. We certainly work very hard in all of the things we do in building awareness and amplifying a message for a brand and a retailer. But in the end, it's about driving sales at retail. So I think what we wanted to do is get a little more specific about some of the things we've done. Yep. Glidden Paint is a company that we worked with, and Glidden's challenge was that they're selling paint at Walmart. They're an upscale brand, and a lot of people don't recognize that. They don't go to Walmart for upscale paints. They don't realize the product's available there. And Glidden's challenge was how to get that out to the public in a way that was very genuine and authentic, not just throwing out ads out there saying, hi, we're at Walmart. Glidden came up with a great concept where they make these tester paints, which are just these tiny dollar cans. So instead of getting your little, paint chips, hoping what it'll look like on the wall, maybe having to buy a can and test it, you can take home these little dollar testers. And they needed to build awareness for that at Walmart. So what we did at Collective Bias, we work primarily, what we do is through our social fabric community, which is a community right now of about 1,800 plus bloggers that work on campaigns, that discuss brands, that do this within a private community that we developed called Social Fabric. And then we engage these bloggers after reaching out to them to find out what they feel will work, involving them in the concept behind the campaigns. We very rarely, if ever, come up with an idea without asking our community, asking the exact people who the brands are looking to attract, what they think and what might work for them. And what this does for us, first of all, is gives us great insights. And it also helps us from those blunders when you're in that marketing room with all these smart people that come up with an idea that isn't really targeted properly at your audience because you're not the exact audience of who's shopping for this product. So, with Glidden, what we did was we brought together 30 lifestyle bloggers we're a hand-raising community. So what we do is we go out there and say, we have this great campaign. Either we mention the brand or we don't. That depends on the goals of the brand. Who would like to be involved in redecorating their home or learning better ways to do it? And then the hands go up instead of us choosing bloggers that we think might be best. Right. What we did then is that we wanted do-it-yourself influencers to make over their room of choice by completing various design challenges. So again, what we do at Collective Bias is everything is strategic. We don't send out the same email to 40 bloggers asking them to do the same exact thing with the same bullet points. We give them an overview of what we're looking to accomplish. We give them an overview of what's important to the brand. And then different bloggers do different things and design in different ways. So what they did was they wrote a before post about what their home looked like or the room looked like or something that they were doing and how they went about choosing paint colors, and going into the store, and then they tell a story about it. So they don't just write about it; they take pictures, they take videos. We use different platforms to tell that story. Very often that can be Google Plus, and they will show how they got to the store, how they searched for it, whether they went with their kids, what were the challenges of shopping that way, and then they redid their home. They redid a room. And then they documented it afterwards. And then they spread this out to their audience via their blog posts, using Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. Pinterest, which is a fabulous platform, especially for something like this, because there's photos and there's images involved that are really important to it and are very aspirational. And for us, what the end results were, and we got this from Glidden, by the way. This wasn't via our measurements. Very often, we're fortunate to work with brands that don't just come to us to tell them what we did. They're willing to measure it themselves. Mm-hmm. And they had 15 million impressions from this campaign. They got a 67% sales increase.
Oh, my God.
And they had their first $1 million weekend on the product. And another great thing is we have certain brands like Glidden that very often are willing, especially on a very directed and targeted campaign like this, to let us be the primary driver, so that we're not confused with what's happening in other markets and how do they drive. And then once they measure this and they get a feel for how it works, they can apply this to other times we're involved, even when there are other forms of media.
Interesting. Wow, that's a really impressive result. The 67 and the $1 Million Weekend, and we know that Walmart is great about letting their vendors into their data stream.
Yes.
So that was probably instantaneous that they knew that.
And they got back to us, and I have to tell you that how thrilled they were when they gave us the results about how fabulous this worked, and it allowed us to understand a little bit better, how to guide campaigns and how the authentic reach of these bloggers really, really affects people and what they do.
Right.
People are much more apt to take a recommendation from a friend than they are from a brand. And when it's somebody that they trust, like a blogger who they followed, who they love their posts, they feel comfortable with their do-it-yourself, they built that authenticity and that trust and loyalty, it's amazing the results it can produce.
And were you tracking a hashtag as well around the campaign? Was that part of it?
We track a lot of things. I'm not involved in we have a head of analytics now, which we brought in from the brand side, because he really understands what's important to the brand. So we track using different softwares. We were using Radiant 6 for a while. We've moved on to something new. It's not at the top of my head, the name. I keep forgetting. But yeah, we do track those things on our own, but these stats were given to us by Glidden.
That's very interesting. It's your client's happy when they tell you the details.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. We talked a little bit about Nestle's last week, and we only have about 2 minutes left, so maybe you want to push on and talk a little bit about Elmer's glue?
Well, sure. I will tell you that just quickly on that Nestle case study, some of the numbers we didn't have last week is that we created a 37% sustained sales lift. And it was something dramatic, again, measured by them. But
that was for just to recap, that was for Nestle's ice cream brands, and also in a Walmart promotion, right?
Right. They had something called the Ice Cream Social, and they wanted people to have social ice cream events at their homes and share it. And we had dramatic results with that. People loved it, and especially around ice cream. It's just something that's a lot of fun. Quickly, what we did for Elmer's, and maybe we can talk about this another time more in depth, but Elmer's sells glue. And when you sit in the office with their executives, they get very excited about glue. The toughest thing is trying to explain to them that glue just ain't sexy.
Right.
It is for the guys developing it, but it's not for the consumer. It's just glue. So what we realized by reaching out to a community, that what really thrills our bloggers and women is creativity and do it yourself and projects they can do with their kids. So we came up with a concept through our community. They named it, and Elmer's now has a community called Glue and Glitter. And they've told us that it's the second largest driver of traffic to their site now. We work with them annually. We create content for them every single week based around creativity. We have some of the best do-it-yourself bloggers in the business writing. It's amazing what these women can build with a couple of sticks and some glue and the fabulous projects they can do. And what they do is they create projects every day for women to do with their kids or for dads to do with their kids. And it's created just a tremendous drive of traffic and awareness and sales for Elmer's.
Well, now both of these examples, the Elmer's and the Glidden, are clearly great opportunities for Pinterest. So maybe you could just wrap up with, because we haven't just talked about Pinterest in any of our discussions to date. Just give me a minute on Pinterest from your perspective.
Quickly, what I'll tell you is we've been recommending Pinterest to our clients for a year. Mm-hmm. And you would think, wow, you guys are smart, but it's not because we're smart. It's because our community is smart. It's because we listen and we hear and we interact with our community regularly. And what we do is we watch what they're doing. These moms and these bloggers are out there. They're incredibly adept at driving traffic to their site and finding things that are working. And what we noticed a year ago is all these women were talking about Pinterest. They were spending time on it. They were talking about the amount of traffic they were driving to the site. So we jumped in early. I mean, we got involved in a big way 8 months ago. And we've been building Pinterest sites for ourselves, for our clients. And I have to tell you that the results have been dramatic.
Yeah, I think Pinterest is really interesting, and I personally only scratched the surface of it. But I post stuff up there from photography that my daughter is doing and other stuff that I just see that I find interesting. And I'm getting people following and liking what I say that I don't know them at all. They're just finding my stuff, and I'm a little confused about how they're finding me exactly, but it's great.
Well, Pinterest makes it easy for them, and Pinterest is very aspirational, and people feel good when they're on it. But the best comment I like is somebody that I noticed on it might have been on Twitter, had a great line. He said, "Pinterest is Facebook without the whining." And it's a lot of visual interaction,
Yeah.
less than personal engagement. But it's great. It's not as good a place to build relationships,
right?
As a Facebook or a Twitter or some of these other platforms. But it's a fabulous place to show things you love and to drive traffic.
I also think it gives you a little more control in terms of curation. The stuff that you like doesn't drop out; it's still there where you put it.
It always lives there, and it's really all for you. And I mean, I post my blog posts there now. I post blog posts from other people I like. I've got a very active Pinterest page, and it's been fabulous for me.
Great. I got to do that too. All right. Well, you're consulting to me now. Thanks so much, Ted. Again, we've burned through 10 minutes like it's no one's business, and it's our business, and we're having fun with it. I look forward to our next chat whenever we can do it, and I really appreciate the time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Peter. I'm looking forward to the next time.
All right.